I give myself away. I give myself away so you can use me. I give myself away. I give myself away so you can use me. My life is not my own. To you I belong. I give myself to you. My life is not my own. To you I belong. I give myself to you. I give myself away. 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 For you can use me. My life is not my own. To you I belong. I give myself to you. My life is not my own. To you I belong. I give myself to you. I give myself away. 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 So
Navea Bravo, José Flores, Eliana García, Usilla García, Amerillo Garza, Javier López, Anabel Rodríguez, Jackie Casares, Laila Salazar, Elilla Cruz Torres, Navea Bravo, Maquina Elord, Maite Juliana Rodríguez, Tess Mata, Rogelio Torres, Alitia Ramírez, José Flores, Jayce Carmelo Luébanos, Jalía Nicole Silguero, Miranda Matis, Alejandría Lexi Anilla Rubio,
Hey, Zelda.
Yes.
Hey, I just want to talk to you real quickly about the the kids and the impact and how you felt about that. But when you first heard about it.
Well, as a mother, what I said is very painful. My I'm very sensitive person, and uh, anytime I see that, I wanna cry.
Yeah, definitely. The thing that stood out to me the most about this whole ordeal was the fact that we've had a lot of school shootings in this country, especially over the last decade or so. But this is the first time that I saw a largely predominantly Latino group of kids, taken away from their families. So this was it just was a little different. Not that the other children that they were any less valuable or anything like that. It's just this was just something that we just really hadn't seen before. So it really just kind of felt, a little just different. I guess that's the best way I can describe it. So I just wanted to get your take on it. I know we got to start our show in just a second. And I wanted to thank you. You're a Latino mom, and I thought that this would be nice if you would come on and at least speak their names. You know, uh, what do you say to something like this? You can't. There's just not enough. There's just not enough.
And for my personal life, for my situation with my own kids, I always teach them that you have to respect everybody, everyone,
Mhm.
everybody. And as a single mom, um, teaching my sons or my childrens about the respect and making this country the better place to live,
Yes.
safe, and you know, my oldest son is a nurse, and my youngest one is a marine, and my little girl, 12 years old. So teaching my children to respect and to do the best as they can for this country.
Yeah.
It's our country, and I want to make the difference every day, anytime.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, Zella, thank you very much. I'm going to get going. I got to go ahead and start the program because I don't want to keep everybody all night. I don't want to be up all night. I'm tired. But I want to thank you. This was very, very sweet of you. Okay.
Thank you for inviting me anytime. I'm here. Thank you for inviting me, and very sad to say the names for those kids, and just I hope someday uh to let my or kids enjoy the peaceful world someday.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Thank you, Zelda.
No, you're welcome. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye bye.
Let's have a conversation. Hey, yo, let's chop it up, man. Hey, yo, let's have a conversation. Hey, yo, may I interject? It's about time for communal reconnect. Power of the we in some type of context. Working on the us so we can hit up what's next. It's that grown brother, grown sister type of flex. More like soul check, not just collecting checks. Fact, not feelings is what we got on deck. Take the high road so this here is high tech. Getting to the real, everything that we hitting on. Pull up or sit down, tell me what you sipping on. Reclaiming kinghood, that is what we getting on. Real headlines is what we spitting on. So, hey now, yo, let's have a conversation. Maybe take a sec to talk on what we facing. Only way to change is to change the situation. How about we break bread now and have a conversation? Hey now, yo, let's have a conversation. Maybe take a sec to talk on what we facing. Only way to change is to change the situation. How about we break bread now and have a conversation? Let's have a conversation. Hey, yo, let's have a conversation. Have a conversation. Have a conversation.
Hey, Lady Flo.
Hey, TJ.
All right. Let's get going. Yes, we are the Real Bravado Network, and this is Have the Conversation. How you doing? How you doing,
I'm
Flo?
doing, TJ. I'm trying my best.
Yeah, I'm trying my best. Before we get and launch into what we need to do today, I'm actually going to bring, um, us as Black folks. You know, not that we are accustomed to that kind of violence. I don't want to say we're accustomed to it, but we're familiar with it. You know what I mean? And a lot of, um, I, I kept saying that this is different because we've never seen this many. I mean, we've never seen Latino children attacked like this, and we have. We've seen it. We just saw it with our last week in Buffalo. Not that there were children, but we've seen this, and I know a lot of our, um, Latino brothers and sisters. They come in the country. They hear a lot of not so nice stuff about them all the time. Very derogatory about them even being here. But I don't think that they've ever had to, as a community, deal with that kind of an impact loss. So just as us as Black folk in this country has tried its best to put Blacks and Latinos against one another, but we're running the same race. So I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to bring up a few of the guests before we get to our discussion, just to get everybody's thoughts on what happened. So hold on a second. I'm going to bring up Dr. Thomas. You there, Dr. Thomas? Dr. Thomas, you're going to have to
Yes,
unmute.
sir.
Okay. And I'm going to bring up Miss Diamond. How you guys doing?
Doing well. How are you?
Okay. So your thoughts on what happened down there in Texas?
When I look at that, that is so tragic just to see how you have individuals continually taking the lives of innocent people in general. It was truly heartbreaking to see the parents there sobbing and wondering whether or not their children were actually alive or if their children were one of the casualties. It's very difficult even as a mother. We have experienced that. My husband and I have experienced the loss of a child in the midst of gang violence. So it's very difficult to deal with things on that level because you don't know what to expect when you get to the scene. You don't know what's going to come about. But there's so much stuff that is happening, and we have to stay woke with all the elections that's going on and taking place now with the passing of the laws where anyone can carry a gun and not have to really go through the actual criminal background checks or what have you. So we need to stay woke as a people and make sure that we get out, we do our due diligence, we vote, and make sure that these things don't come to pass so that we can try to curb the violence that's taking place.
Right, especially when they're targeted against Black and brown people at this magnitude. They always.
Yes.
I'm gonna Dr. Thomas. I'm gonna keep it just as blunt as possible. They like to because here on Have the Conversation, we do everything we're doing right now is around like our cultural image, our image. They like to paint us as we're the violent, vicious ones in this country, and just I do a lot of talking about stats, data, and statistics. That just doesn't bear out. That just doesn't bear out. And so, but yet and still, it seems like every few months we got some young or not so young Caucasian male doing something so horrific, and he gets to walk. I'm gonna stop there. Miss Diamond, how you?
I don't even know what to say at this point. You know, when you turn on the television or any kind of social media, for me, when I hear a child's voice, it's always because of something like this. It hasn't been anything that you're hearing that it's just something happy or something that they're engaged in. It's always some kind of drama or something like this, and that's what I've been hearing. You can hear the little song in the little girl's voice, and it just took me there to just shaking my head like this little girl is standing here singing for a reason, not because she's in church and just singing a song or church hymn. It's because something happened. You know, we used to do that as adults. You would hear us singing those types of songs as adults. Now we have the children that's singing it for their own peers at this point in time, and it's just not right. It's just not right at all. And then you start to think that I believe they said that the young man that caused all of this, he was 18, and he had prior to that he had killed his own. Well, he shot his grandmother. Hopefully
Shot,
she's okay.
yeah, shot his
But what
grandma.
was going on in that home? What was going on with this young man? And I go back to again the mental health part of it. It's not a joke. You know, I'm dealing with some personal things right now with somebody that's very close to me with some mental health, and I'm hoping that they get the help that they need. But it just takes you there. It takes you to that point that this is not a joke. And just like the doctor said, we definitely have to wake up. You know, why wait till now before you start talking about gun control? You should have been talking about that a long time ago. You came into these elections and you were saying what you were going to do, but what has been done? Every time I see certain politicians, it's because we're talking about things that has happened, things that
Hmm.
has happened and whatnot. So what are you doing to stop it?
Nothing right now. Everybody's afraid. All right, Miss Lucas.
Yeah, this is like my heart dropped when I heard it because I was like, Lord Jesus, what's going on? I got Hispanic cousins. I have family members in Texas, and I'm looking like, is there at one of their schools? Like, what's going on? You know, it could have been one of my family members down there. So this is real close. Like it affects. It don't just affect the Hispanic family. It affects those who are connected to the Hispanic
Hmm.
people. So it's not just like only the Hispanics. I'm like, oh my goodness. And being an educator, I work with Hispanic children, very respectful little children, and it's like, why? You know, it's just going on and on and on. And then there's no law now. Anybody can go get a gun. They don't have to do a research. You don't need to sign a piece of paper saying
Background
that
check.
if you got mental illness, you can't get a gun.
None of that. Yep. All right, Miss Torres.
Um, well, I'm here in Texas.
Oh
Um,
wow. Yeah, I forgot.
yeah, yeah, I'm here in Dallas, Texas. And the main thing I could say is something like this should never have happened. I mean, that's obvious. It should never have happened. And
Yes.
the fact that we're hearing things like, okay, one person is categorized as mental health issues. And then you have another individual where there's concerns being risen about border control. So it leads to make you think, okay, you have to ask a question. What's really going on here? You know, why did this happen? The majority that rules, in my opinion, allowed it to happen because these are our babies. Latino, African American, it doesn't matter. These are our babies. And they were brutally murdered in cold blood. And the fact of the matter is, you know, there's a lot of talk, there's a lot of things going on, but in my opinion, it's just going to continue to get worse until something actually happens to put in place to stop it.
Yeah,
And it's just a tragedy. It's a tragedy.
absolutely. All right, Miss Smith, Angela.
Yes.
Yeah, your
Yeah.
thoughts.
My heart breaks. It's sad. You know, what is this world coming to? I just, my heart just goes out to those families. You know, these were babies, innocent babies that hadn't even begun to live life, and yet their life was taken.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just sad. We have no type of control over guns. It just, every time you turn on the TV, somebody's losing their life.
And I'm pretty upset that this is the second week in a row we've had this. We're trying to do something over here for our community, you know, for families. I would say Black family unification. This is the second week in a row that I've had to come over here and try to put together a conversation with a bunch of dynamic women, and this is what I got to talk about, you know, and then transition that into our business, which then our business seems a little small compared to what we got to deal with. You know what I mean? It's just it's enough's enough, you know. Miss Christie.
Yes, sir. Good evening, everyone. My heart goes out to those parents. I cannot imagine how that feels. I've read an article earlier today or yesterday. The grandmother or the mother of this young man, this 18-year-old murderer, monster, said he's not a monster. He just gets really angry sometimes. Well, that's what monsters do. You know,
I'm not laughing because it's funny,
I
but it's
know, but the Incredible Hulk. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry. But I've been a mother for over 36 years, and there is no way in Hades that a child of mine could bring an AR-15 into my home and I not know about it, because everything in my home, I have all rights and privileges to. I'm going to search, I'm going to check, I'm going to look for, and should I find, I'm coming up with some real serious consequences. So these parents are dropping the ball where these children are concerned, where their monsters are concerned. When I coached ball, I coached for a number of years, and my children, I started with them at some of them 4, 5, 6, 7 years old. And you know, after the first year, they lost one game because our children, we told them they have to work harder in order to get anything. We got to be 3 times as good in order to get half as much. But then they changed the rules, telling these children there are no winners and losers. There are no losers. And I told my kids, y'all little Black babies, yeah, there are winners and there are losers. The winners work really, really hard to win. The losers don't work as hard. And if you're losing, you have to work harder. Well, they created this culture of there are no winners and losers. So when they get up in age and they lose, they not only lose, they lose their minds. They become angry. They become brutally savage monsters. And we have to get back to, you know, let the kids be kids. Let them go outside and play. Let them fall and hit scrape their knee and get up and get up and get up, because that's the only way we're going to, I mean, getting back to, I'm just all about getting back to basics.
Yep, definitely. Miss Kenya, go ahead
Yeah.
and unmute. Mm-hmm. What do you think?
I guess when I first heard about it, a lot of times when things are just very, very shocking to me, it takes me um I have to take a day to kind of just process like, what just happened. And yesterday, my poetry family, we actually had a discussion about it. And it's just like, it's heartbreaking to be a parent and sending your kids off to school, not thinking that, anything will happen to your children. And to that surprise, you're pretty much like in that space to where, okay, is my child okay? Were they the ones that got hit? You don't know anything until at the very end when someone has to tell you that your child is not coming home. And it blows my mind because I'm a parent to a young Black boy. And yes, he's 2. And, I've been looking into different places where he can go into, child care and daycare. And it's scary. It has like it yesterday I can honestly say I was petrified
Yep.
to having to have my child in school and me being at work and wondering, is my child going to be okay? Am I going to see my child when I pick him up from school? And
Yep.
just me working in the hospital, is open as a hospital is, anybody can come in and out of the hospital and do anything.
You know how many times, I work third shift at the hospital. Do you know how many times I'm sitting up in there and I'm doing chart and I'm thinking to myself, how safe am I up in there? Because anybody can walk in. All you got to do,
Anybody.
I mean, I shouldn't put this out here, but all you got to do is put on a pair of scrubs and walk into the hospital. Who's going to stop you?
Yep. And with this mask, mandate, still in the hospitals and still in some of the nursing homes and all of that, somebody can easily walk in there with a mask on, shoot up my whole floor, and nobody would know anything.
All right, definitely. Mr. Morris, can you hear me?
I hear you.
Okay. We're talking about, I know you've been in and out, but we're talking about a little bit about just our brief thoughts on what happened in Texas before we get started.
For me, they're thoughts because they want to lose. They always want to run up on somebody. They don't want to fight. They want the easy way out. And like she was saying, I was thinking about it the other day at work. I was out dumping the trash and the door was wide open. At any given time, somebody can walk into the restaurant and just shoot up the restaurant. And it's like, it's crazy now because to me, he's not playing no games. He don't care who you are. Like these Latino and Spanish kids, that they want to shot up. So for that, I mean, like, anyway, that's the thing about it. And you have to worry about, is she okay? And then you got people in Texas, are they okay? It's crazy, but I put a stop to it. How do we stop it? Do we get guns out of the homes? I mean, that's for our protection. So where do we start?
Yep, definitely. All right, y'all. Let's get down to business. We're not gonna hold everybody to court long. We got some stuff to talk about, so we'll get there. I'll bring you guys back on in just a second. Okay, me and Flo gonna chop it up. All right. Whew. All right, Flo. We got to transition from there. We got to get down to business. Let's get started today. Today's conversation. Hopefully this is a good one. Okay. All right, guys. Like I said at the top, we are the Real Bravado Network, and this is Have the Conversation. Before we get started with the topic, do me a huge favor for those of you who are going to be watching this later, or those of you that are on now. Please go to YouTube, search Real Bravado Network. Do us a huge favor, all of us on the panel, hit the subscribe button, help us out. That's the best way you can support us. We can keep doing what we're doing, and we want more people engaged in what we're doing. We're not over here talking for the sake of talking. We have a goal in mind that we're trying to do, okay? All right, let's get down to business. Didn't really get a chance to really introduce myself all that much. My name is Tavares Moore, and I want everybody to understand something. I'm not an image consultant. I'm not an expert on relationships or culture or history, but what I am is an average, productive, middle class Black man who is sick and tired of being sick and tired. Okay. Now, the way in which we engage each other during the process on have the conversation is very important. We as Black people have become comfortable with being very informal with one another, which can lower the ability to maintain respect and decorum. We over here are tending to, as we move forward in our conversations, are going to have pressure tested conversations. And as a facilitator, I want to hold everyone to the standard of respect and decorum. So terms or labels like Mr., Mrs., Miss, Ms., Sir, Ma'am, those are paramount over here. It's dignified, it's respectful, it shows decorum. Even when you're having pressure tested conversations and you don't, and even when you're not in agreement on the topic or a comment, having that in the forefront of your mind will always lead to respect and decorum. Okay. All right. We're going to attempt to do all of this over here because here on the Real Bravado Network, and especially on this streaming show, Have the Conversation, we are invested in her image, his image, and our image. And it's taken me nearly my whole life to wrap my head around how valuable and significant my image is, not only to me, but amongst the Blacks and also culturally across the nation. Now, we have begun the process of trying to walk down our goals here on Have the Conversations. And this is our fourth stream. And we have begun the process of dealing with her image. And we're going to have some not so pleasant conversations, some fun conversations about her image. But we're here to learn and we're here to reconnect. Okay. So let's recap what I mean by image for real quick. Image, the definition of image. First, it's a noun. Sometimes, noun is a person, place, or thing for those who didn't graduate like elementary school. A noun is a person, place, or thing. Sometimes it's used as a verb, okay? And the term image has several different meanings, but the operating definition that we're going to have over here is that image is the reputation that a person is known for, which includes their behavior, their character, and also their appearances. Another way of putting it, it's how you are perceived, how you're viewed. And it's also another way of looking at it is it's your reputation. What's your reputation? What is our reputation? So one of my questions, and I asked this last week, I'm going to ask it again today, and I might ask it again next week. What is it about our image or how we are perceived or our reputation that leaves us as the most vulnerable and exposed group of people in America? Does our image even matter to us? When we talk about our cultural image in this country, when do we actually care about how we're viewed or our reputation? If you look at the issues that actually bring Black people out of the house and into the streets, it's normally around the actions of some local police department. Is that the only time we care about our image and our reputation is when one of our men or one of our ladies is laying in the street? Is that the only thing that can get us pissed off enough to take to the streets? What do we do when we take to the streets? How do we act when we're out there? Does our behavior in the streets, do we reach our goals that way? Remember, our national cultural image is our reputation, and that we as a collective group is, and they look at our behaviors, the characters, and our appearances. That's what and it's how they judge us. Whether we like it or not, whether we care or not. I'm not going to list like all of the, bad, stereotypical images of Black men and Black women because we just don't have time for that. But for the sake of the topic this evening, we're just going to stipulate this, that our national image is not something that we find favorable right now. We'll just accept that right now. I mentioned in our first live stream that before we can even talk about working on our national image, I need to raise the question: do we as Black people have a correct understanding of our image amongst one another? What is the reputation, including the behaviors and characters that we are known for with each other? Do Black men, do Black women have a fair, clear, and favorable view of each other? Here's another question. Do we even like each other? All right, so let's get to our topic real quick. We always introduce our topic in the segment called the Real Bravado Headlines. So let's get right to it. All right. So, as Black people, we often talk about the way we are viewed and seen, like at work or just in society in general. We talk about how we are handled by, like, when we go out shopping, by local businesses, by our political structures. But we rarely spend time talking about how we view and handle each other. So I have a question. Do Black men know what Black women want from Black women? From Black men. Do Black women know what Black men want from Black women? Do we know what we want from one another? Okay. Before I bring on the panel, I'm actually gonna, let me see. Ms. Torres.
Hey.
Hey, do you think we know what we want from one another?
No, I don't.
That was short. Why not?
Well, here's the thing. There's a lot of miscommunication that goes on, and me personally, I believe it has a lot to do with social media. Um, Social media, there's algorithms, there's a lot of different things that are at play here, and you see what is presented, and that's not necessarily what is the truth. There's a lot of miscommunication as far as what is reality versus what is fantasy. And what you see on social media, generally, the women or the men or the good looking versus the not so good looking, there's a lot of miscommunication. So, no, I believe there's a disconnect when it comes to what we actually want versus what we're getting.
Well,
Yeah.
there you go. I like that. What we want versus what we're getting. And no, I don't think we actually, and here's the thing, I don't know if we actually, when we're told what we want from one another, I don't think each one of us listens. I think we give each other what we think the other one wants and want them to be happy with that. And that doesn't lead to necessarily I don't think, it's just an opinion, the most successful outcomes. But let me ask you a question, because right now we're dealing with the concept of her image. Okay. So what must a woman have in order to be fit for a long-term relationship with a Black man?
That comes to mind
What'd you
is
say?
the first thing that comes to mind is communication. That's the first thing I believe a Black woman needs to have a successful long term relationship. Um, because without the communication, there's a lot of loopholes, there's a lot of things that could happen, disconnects. If you have communication, it opens the lines for success, it opens the lines for, a healthy relationship and keeping an open mind as well. I believe that's just one of the things. I mean, there's a list.
Give me a
There's a
couple more.
list.
What must a woman be or have in order to be fit for a long-term relationship? Give me a couple more. Okay, you said communication.
Yes, communication. She also needs to be emotionally intelligent. And what I mean by that is she needs to be secure mentally within herself, who she is, in order to really have a successful relationship, in my opinion. Because what I've seen is, a lot of women go into relationship with certain baggages or certain unresolved trauma, different things that they're still dealing with, and expect that man to then accept it automatically, or
No, because we
without
supposed
it
to
being
love you.
resolved.
We supposed to love you past your pain. You know that, right? We're supposed to do.
Well, yeah,
And I'm being
that's
sarcastic.
the majority.
I'm being sarcastic by that, by the way, that we're supposed to do
Yeah,
that. But yeah, I'm not fit to do that. But that, I didn't go to school to figure out how to. Yeah.
but that's the
Anyway,
majority. That's
yeah.
the majority. That's what you hear. That's not necessarily what is fact. Because what I believe is, a lot of time it's the loud ones that speaks first, and that the majority rules. So this is what is going on in social media. This is what a lot of people believe. Okay, you have to be this way in order to have a successful relationship, and then it fails. Why does it fail? Because they came into the relationship with unresolved issues, and then expected that man to automatically accept it, without dealing with it themselves. It's not up to the man to deal with these issues. It's up to you as a woman, have these issues resolved, and then go into the relationship with a clear mind, a clear spirit, emotionally intelligent.
Okay.
That's just my opinion.
Okay, Miss Kenya, real quick. Um,
Yes.
what do you think? Um, what what of what of value do you think a woman should bring to into a relationship to become to be fit for a black man? What do you think?
Um, being a good listener, because a lot of times in relationships, um, we tend to not really listen. We hear enough to respond,
Mhm,
and we're not
mhm.
actually listening to the person's like actual questions, concerns, what's important to them, what they, how they see a relationship, what's healthy to them in a relationship, what type of trauma or whatever that they have experienced. So,
Okay, I'm gonna ask you a
I think
question.
listening is a great one.
I'm gonna ask you a question real quick that I actually hate this question, but I'm gonna ask it this way anyway.
Go
What
ahead.
what should a woman bring to the table? I hate that question, by the way, but I'm asking it that way for a reason.
um, Emotional stability.
Okay. What else?
Um, Other than that, just some morals and some values, and
What about tangible stuff?
yes. Um, there's my my son in the back. Um, um, well, I mean, like just being able to be like, being able to be supportive and be there.
Hmm. I find the responses a little interesting because normally when those questions are asked, women tend to respond, "Well, I got a job, I have a house, I have a
Yes,
car, I have
and right, and a lot of times, a house and a car and the money, that's all well and good, but you can have all that and not be about a thing. You could be an empty person with all of this stuff and nothing to show for, as far as, are you emotionally stable? Are you able to have healthy relationships? Are you able, like, to be able to go home to your family and them not feel the type of way? Like, do you have a good relationship with people? Because you can have material things, don't be nothing if you don't have anybody to
Hmm.
that you can talk to,
Okay.
that you can confide in.
Interesting. I'm gonna ask one more time, Miss Angela. Hey, what should a woman, quote unquote, bring to the table to be fit for a black man?
Communication. I think communication is key. Being able to um, allow your mate to be who they are and
Okay.
and not judgmental. Material things, we can get together. I'm at a point to where I just want to see my brown men thriving and know that, we're not out here to hurt you. We're here to uplift you.
Okay.
So
Some of the things that you ladies have, let me ask this question before I continue. Some of the things that you ladies have listed, is that what you think Black men would say that they want?
probably not.
Interesting. All right, let's go. So, as we're exploring her image, okay, we're going to focus on this from a little bit from the male's perspective. Do you as a Black woman know what the average Black productive man wants? Some of the ladies already answered that. The answer is no. But if I would imagine that if you would compare, if you could get a list of, if you can compare the list between what Black women want from Black men and what Black men want from Black women, I guarantee you the Black woman's list would be like 8 to 20 times longer. I promise you it would be. Okay. And that's okay. But before we get to that list, I want to kind of define what I mean by average productive Black men. Okay. And right before I get into that, I want to talk a little bit about blackdemographics.com. Blackdemographics.com is one of the, I'm not going to go into a lot with blackdemographics.com, but it's one of my primary sources. I get my data and statistics from a lot of different places, but blackdemographics.com is one of my primary ones. And they deal with all things Black and Black relationship, from economics to relationships to marriages to stability, incarceration rates. They deal with a lot of stuff. So I got a couple more, in just general conversations, sometimes people ask about, like, where are you getting these numbers from? Where you get these stats from? Is that even true? Here's the thing. Back on the first show, the first streaming, we asked the question, do we have a problem? And we came to a consensus, yes. So we have a consensus that yes, we have a problem. We have to identify what that problem is and where it came from. And the only way to do that is to be able to quantify and get tangible results about what it is that is happening with us, so we can actually address what it is. So a lot of times people get really caught up in challenging the information. And I always ask people, what information are you willing to accept? Not everything not all of the information about us is nice. It's just not. So according to blackdemographics.com, and what they mean by average is basically the majority. Where is the majority of whatever you're asking for? So when you're asking about the averages of something, it's where the majority is. They take all the data from all groups from the top to the low, they put it together and they come up with an average. And according to blackdemographics.com, the average Black man in America is single, childless, earns enough money to live in the middle class. His money, the average Black man earns $40,370 or $19.40 an hour. That's the average Black man. He also has at least a high school diploma with at least 2 years of college. And also the average Black man comes out of a single mother household. So I understand that sometimes we get caught up in our experiences or our family's experiences or our friends' experiences about one another, especially when it comes to Black men. When I tell ladies that the average Black man is single, childless, and earn enough money to raise a family, they balk at it. They get angry, they get mad, and they get completely defiant about it. And I go, I can't change the fact that's what the number is, and I can't change the fact that you might not experience that. And when you have like when you have a let's just say if you come from a Christian background, none of us have met God, but most of us that are call ourselves Christians believe in God. It's the belief in things are unseen. So just because you have not seen or bear witness to a large group of single childless Black men who earn middle class money, that does not mean we don't exist. They actually exist just because they're not in your circle. So the question should come, if 52 to 54%, that represents the majority of Black men. If 52 to 54% of Black men are single, childless, and earn enough money to be in the middle class, and you don't see them, the question is, why not? Because they're the majority. The other statistic that we talk about, the other number is, the fact of the matter is, the minority of Black men make all the babies. It's roughly 18 to 20%. Of Black men make 80% of the babies in our community. That is a numbered fact. That is something we can count. So if 54% of Black men are single, childless in the community, that means the majority of us are productive. Yes, no, I did not account for character, gay, straight, whatever, preference, if he's tall or handsome. I didn't account for all of that. I accounted for basic stats about your Black men. The average Black man, for conversation purposes, are single, childless, earn enough money to be in the middle class, has a high school diploma with at least 2 years of college experience, and comes from a single mother household. That's your average Black man walking around on the street, regardless of what you experience or what you've accepted or what you have had children by. That's the average Black man. And trust and believe, as I started learning about this stuff a few years ago, it shocked me because it's not what I seen. It's not what I seen, and it's not what I heard. So it was shocking to me. But as I got to become and started paying attention to who I'm working around, I work around a lot of Black men. They quietly go about their business. These men, they're not out there in the club. They're not all this. They're just, and some of them might not be the most flashy guys on the planet and stuff like that. They might not be, but they're there. Okay. So what do average productive Black men want from a woman? This might be a shocker. So I asked the ladies kind of on the panel, general things that they think that that a Black man might want. Now, every man is a little bit different about what he wants, you know what I mean? But I've come down to 3 basic things that I think is across the board for the vast majority of Black men, which is this. Most Black men want an FBI woman, not the Federal Bureau of Investigations, but a friendly, beautiful, inspirational woman. And we're going to get into what we mean by friendly, beautiful, and inspirational. I'm going to bring up the panel and we're going to get started right there, okay? Ooh, that's a lot of people on the screen. Hi, everybody. Everybody go ahead and unmute for me. Let's make sure that this audio don't start dinging all over the place. So, was that a little heavy? Did I make anybody mad?
No.
No. I actually agree with the FBI. Honestly, I do.
Yeah, friendly, beautiful, inspirational. Tonight, We're going to just talk about the friendly aspect of it. Next week, we're going to pick up on the beautiful and the inspirational. The beautiful part is not what you think. Okay? And so we're going to pick up on that stuff next week. But friendly, our black women's image. Are you guys? Is your image, is your reputation that of somebody who is friendly?
No.
No.
No. Why not?
We are labeled in society as an angry black person or angry black woman, and that's with everything. Like, you know, especially when if we feel like we've been wronged in some way and we speak up for ourselves, then we're just an angry black woman and we're always angry, and you know that's not the case. Like if you wrong me, and I'm going to speak up for myself, but you know that's the image that, you know, we can't control ourselves, that we're always angry and we don't even have a reason to be angry. We're just angry.
You're just angry for the sake of being angry.
Just for the sake of being angry.
Okay. Everybody agree with that?
No.
No, Flo?
I just think that we are always labeled as such because, you know, from the beginning of time, we were supposed to sit, be seen, but not be heard. You know,
that's children.
Yeah, no, they look at women like that. A lot of these cultures want their women to be very submissive and to sit, be seen, but not be heard. We shouldn't say nothing, as if we wasn't born with a hole in our face. We supposed to speak up. You know, they wanna misuse you and think you're supposed to sit back and just allow it. But you know, we're not angry. I smile all the time. You know, I don't to be angry, but I will speak up for myself. You know, so you know,
Dr. Thomas, what do you think? Where do you think it came from?
Really, I think it is something that many of us actually have displayed at some point in time in our life where we may have worn our feelings. We have not. I think Ms. Torres touched on this a little bit earlier about being freed from things that have hurt us. We haven't been delivered, so therefore we have our guard up. And many times, you know, it's just like, you know, when you have a pus bump, if you hit it the right way and the pus comes oozing out, it's not just going to land in one place, it's going to contaminate everything that it touches. So in many instances, those sore spots or those areas that we have not dealt with or we have not been delivered from, they cause us to portray ourselves as angry as a defense mechanism.
Okay. All right. Let's see. All right. Ms. Christie, what do you think?
I think I will agree with the doctor that just spoke. As a survivor of domestic violence, of sexual assault, of a lot of things, I lived for a very long time, for some almost 50 years, angry and didn't know why. But, excuse me, or it wasn't that I was angry, but it was that I was carrying so much hurt. And hurt people hurt people. We are portrayed as these angry Black women when we are hurt, when our children, when we have to raise our children and work really hard, work 2-3 jobs, and to take care of our families and all of the things that our non-melanated counterparts, for the most part, don't have to. So they view us and they put us in a box because that's where they want us.
Why do you guys
Society,
think
that is?
Why do you think the average Black man thinks that you're angry, Ms. Torres?
I think it goes back to, you know, years from when, because women used to be in the home, women couldn't even own property. So from the whole suffragette movement, when women were now, you know, more independent, a woman feels, especially in the workforce, a lot of times the Black woman feels she has to be a bit stronger, she has to be tougher, or she won't be taken seriously. And whether that's not necessarily true, that has been the majority. So, in my experience, I feel that, the disconnect happened more so because a lot of men are seeing women, hey, I'm independent, I'm strong, I'm this. And therefore, women feel like, okay, we need to have that whole demeanor. We need to come across as strong, tough, independent. And the disconnect comes where men are now looking at it like, okay, is there anything I can do for you? No, I could do it all myself. And that's where the whole independent thing comes in. It's like, okay, angry Black woman, she's angry, she's strong, she's this. And that's not the case at all. Whereas a woman who is in the workforce, perhaps maybe a boss, feels the need to exert herself just so she can be treated as equal, just so she can have her place there. But then come home and be that submissive woman to her man, her king. She can be all of those things, but that's not the consensus out there. That's not the image that's being delivered. Strong, independent, angry. Those are the words that come up when you hear independent, you think of angry. So, in my opinion, I just believe that that's where the disconnect came as far as with men viewing
Do you
us.
guys,
Don't know what to say.
Miss Angela,
Yes.
I just completely lost my train of thought. uh, the thought, where do you think that came from? Do you think there's any validity in it, especially when it's coming from your own Black men, that you're angry? I mean, that you're not friendly.
Well, with me, personally, I've gotten that a lot, and I think it comes from being hurt and being in a place where I had to be strong. I had to build up a wall. I had to fend for myself. Being I lost my mom at 12 days after my 16th birthday, so it's like I had to I had to grow up quick. I had to be in a place where I couldn't be vulnerable. So I put up this wall. People used to say they didn't know if they should speak to me or just walk past me because they didn't know if I was going to bite their head off or if I would speak back.
Yeah.
So
And
that's just.
I think you hear a lot of that from your average Black man. Listen, for me personally, I there's no secret. I work in a hospital environment and I work around a lot of Black women. And let me tell you something. They're not for my experiences, which might not necessarily be what it actually is, but my experiences, they're not the most they won't speak. They get angry. They bite your head off if you do speak, or anything like that. And it's just, it becomes, and as a Black man, I'm thinking to myself, when this is happening, I'm going, if something were to go wrong up in here, you would have the expectation for me to do something. Why in the world would I want to do something for somebody who can't even give me a blink hello? Why would I, but that's we're talking about the perception. Go ahead.
So many things can happen in a woman's world on that day. We wear the world on our shoulders. It don't be too much to smile about when you don't have a man in the household to make you smile when you leave out in the morning. You're struggling to take care of kids. You're struggling to get to work. You're worrying about your kids as you at work. A lot of the times our mind is elsewhere, really don't have nothing to do. We be preoccupied. This shooting leaves me so uncomfortable to send my kids to school. So now I'm at work worrying, so I can't smile because I'm too busy bottled up worrying about what could happen. It's so many things that can make a woman appear to be something that really ain't, because we are very
Go
submissive.
ahead. I don't know about that, Flo. Go ahead.
We are women to the
Then-
most part. We gotta be submissive if we having babies. We submitting somehow.
Oh yeah. You submit in the bedroom. That's the only place you submit to.
But then there's
In your
also,
opinion, that's true.
we are also dealing with hormonal changes
Yes. Ooh.
from week to week.
Yes.
You know, or
You said a
for those
mouthful.
Yes,
Yes.
that's a mouthful right
who
there.
have gone through, the change, or they might be menstruating, or
Wow.
if they're not menstruating, then there's the time before then when your body is doing all of this stuff. There's a lot going on with us.
Exactly.
And we
I have a
bear
question.
the brunt of the whole entire world.
Yes.
I have a question.
Yes.
I think all that's an
TJ,
excuse.
can I speak to that submissive part?
Yeah, just give me a
I
second.
think
Let's give Mr. Morris a chance to ask his question. Then Dr. Thomas will come back to you. Go ahead.
everything that you all spoke on, y'all, we don't go through the same thing.
His
We get
question-
turned down for the job. Every day we walk out the house, we gotta fight against the white man. We gotta fight against. The odds are always set against us because we may got a record. We gotta fight against that next man getting a promotion over us. And then we gotta come home and then try to deal with all those aspects. And nobody ever says, are you okay? We supposed to be the strong, we supposed to be submissive or sensitive. We supposed to have everything together and be able to just hold together. But we times
Are you smiling throughout your day? Can I ask that question? Are you smiling throughout your day? Or are you warm and
when I
inviting
go through, I'm
throughout your
gonna
day?
smile. I'm
Do
gonna
your
smile
body send you through a bunch of nonsense? Do you sit up
all the
and
time.
work in pain?
Because I want to know, why do y'all expect that from us, but we don't get it from y'all? I
And
mean,
here's
if you give out smiles, you may get smiles back.
Yes.
and that's
Because
and that is
I've had guys walk into my place of business where I'm already there working, and I speak to them as they walk in, and they don't speak back.
Exactly. They do the
So
same.
Yeah, but I mean,
But
I
the-
mean, are you giving out what you want to receive, or what you expecting from someone else? Are you giving that out?
all right, Ms. Smith, Mr. Morris, hold that thought for a second, and I want to get to Dr. Thomas real quick. Go ahead about the submissive thing.
Yes, sir. Well, when the submissive portion came up, one thing that I think we get labeled as being angry when there is submission that is supposed to come into play. And many times we as women that feel that, we're independent, we're holding our own, we can hold it down on our own. That is taken out of context when it comes to submission. And this is just my opinion.
Yes,
We are the stronger vessel, as far as we can carry a lot. We are able to compartmentalize, keep it moving. If we have to play mommy, if we have to also step in the role of the absent father that's not there, we have to be the one to go to the football games and the basketball games and all of these things, and to really nurture our children. But when it comes down to the submissive part, what we are supposed to be really is helpmates. We aren't, it's not the fact that we are bowing down, but we are coming together. We're not walking behind our mates. We are supposed to be walking along with them. And I think when we look at submission, sometimes as Black women, we look at it as bowing down, but it's not bowing down. It's as coming together. We're working together, because if there's a rope across the house and my husband needs me to help him pull it over, I can't go on the other side of the house and pull the rope because I'm pulling against him. I have to come alongside him, and we have to work together to get the rope over.
Yes,
So
Come on,
that, to
Dr.
me,
Thomas.
that's
Yes.
ma'am.
Hold on a second, everybody. Hold on a second. So real quick, Dr. Thomas, in a nutshell, what she's saying is you need to come into cooperation. That's what she's saying. With submissiveness. Angela, I'm gonna get back to you and Morris real quick. The reason why the topic is where it is that generally speaking, that's not being unfriendly is not necessarily attributed to your black men. Your black men are actually attributed to being friendly. It's being attributed to our women. Now, we all are subjected to stereotypes, but they don't come out of thin air. Being unfriendly is not something. I mean, yes, it's attributed to black women as a whole. Is every black woman unfriendly? Absolutely not. Are there some nice, kind? Yes, I have run into a few. But being unfriendly, especially when you're hearing it from your black man, do you think we're just making it up, or just trying to down you, or just trying to throw another dagger at you? How does it land on you, Miss Lucas? I'm gonna come to you. How does it land on you to know that that's how your black male counterpart view you?
I think some use that as an excuse to go outside their culture.
What?
They said, yeah, they use that as an excuse to say, you know what, I can't marry that black woman because, you know, she's an angry black woman. And she said, you know how these black women are. And so I got to go to the other culture because, you know, they submissive and they won't talk back. Because, you know, when it comes to the black woman, she going to tell you off and put you in your place. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Come on.
Angry black woman.
I am not. Miss Lucas, I am not accepting that man.
You know it's true.
I'm not accepting that, Miss Lucas.
Of course you're not.
Yes, that's the truth. You know what to say.
What do you mean,
of
of
course
course not?
said. So she
That's
said
what they
it.
say.
That's
what
not
they
true.
say.
That's what
I
they
don't
do.
talk to black men.
That's
Black
the
men
first
say
thing
that.
about their mouth. They say it
Yeah,
all
that's
the
what
time.
they say.
And it may not be
What
what
they-
you want. They do. They do.
it may
Hold
not
on.
be you, Miss Moore.
Somebody's giving a lot of feedback. Hold on. All right, go ahead. Go ahead, Christy.
It may not be you per se, but I have heard it. I've seen it. I've seen it written. I've heard it screamed, whispered, and yelled.
Yes, ma'am.
Because we're not docile because would I rather be submissive? Yes. Would I rather be the meek, demure, laid? Would I rather be that? Yes. But when it comes down to it, I don't have that opportunity. I don't. I've raised two sons who are 6'3" and 6'5". They bigger than me. So I can't be some meek, docile individual. I was just in the store today, and an elderly woman was pushing her cart, and she was trying to make her way through. And a black man, older than I am, come trying to push past her. And I threw my carton away. I said, not today. You will allow this mother to take her time and go where she needs to go without pushing her over, because she's earned the right. You know, he got mad at me, but guess who don't care? I was gonna protect that woman, that elderly woman.
I'm gonna say this. I'm not sure that the reason why black men will, say or complain about the friendliness of black women is because we want to go over to another race. That's just not the case. I remember at the beginning I talked about our experiences versus what is actual. Now, from the marital standpoint, only 4% of black men marry outside of their race. That's just it, So it's not. So we're not talking about dating and all this other stuff or sleeping with or whatever. We're talking about, we judge success over here by. Remember you said, Christy, about winning. Winning for us is being married. If you ain't doing that, what are you doing? You know. But they're talking about as far as like pushing a culture forward. If you're not getting married, what are you doing? You're not. You're just playing out. You ain't doing it. You're playing. You ain't doing no playing. So I don't know. I mean, I've heard that. I've heard that as from black men as the reason why they will go outside is because black women are so angry, so mean. But here's my question about that: is if we're constantly telling you that, we're constantly mentioning that as a whole, you guys are not friendly. Who is it upon? At what point are you going to accept that that's what we're experiencing when we're with you?
It's a matter of taking accountability.
What'd you say, Ms. Torres?
It's just a matter of taking accountability. That's the main thing that needs to be done, because there's always going to be a disconnect. And if we're not meeting each other halfway, no one is going to be listening to the other.
Exactly.
If we as Black women can just take accountability, yes, there are times we are angry. Yeah. Yes, there are times, we are labeled this way because of so much that's on our shoulders.
Exactly.
Yes. Now that we have taken accountability for it, okay, what can we as Black women do to make our Black men feel more secure in the fact that we are these things: friendly, beautiful, inspirational? And I think that's the main thing. Let's just, take accountability for it instead of the he said, she said, I'm not this, I'm not that. Hey, yes, and let's just take the first step. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah. Anything works. We got to try something,
I think that some of our Black men don't feel as though that they're supported by some women. I don't think that some of them understand what they're going through. I get it, they have it hard. As women, well, as a woman, a lot of times we hear that women look for men like their father that they want to marry. But men, they used to look for the woman who would cook like their mother and who would be loving like their mother. But their mothers have been carrying so much weight, and all they've seen from those mothers has been negative things. They may see their mother as maybe having an attitude, but it's not the attitude that she has. She's not going to explain it to an 8-year-old what she's dealing with as far as bills or maybe some type of depression or maybe work or something that she may be going through. But that young man is growing up in that household where that mother is, and that's what he sees and that's what he's learning. So he's looking at the expressions that she's starting to have on her face, the sadness that's coming across it, or maybe some of the things that she may be saying to maybe a friend on the phone, and he's taking it as an attitude. So as he grows up and he sees that woman who looks a little like his mother as far as being a brown woman, he's looking at it as if she's angry. That's the way my mother used to look. Now I know as a woman, I can look at some women's faces, and we used to look at our parents' face and say, I know what that look like on my mother. I know when she's angry. I know when she's upset. Sometimes as another mother or a woman walking down the block, when you see that look, that reminds you of that look that your mother had. So you take it as being upset, she's angry, she's this, she's that. And I've looked at us on this panel maybe about 20 minutes ago, and none of us had smiles that I can see, but I know we're smiling on the inside.
Yeah.
And that's what happens when we're walking down the block. We don't show that sometimes in our face, but we're smiling on the inside.
And society keeps us in that rut. It's one thing behind the other. It's hard to smile when you're grieving. You can't even ease up from one thing before something else just occur. And it's hard to smile. It's hard to be whatever what men want. We come with too much.
Okay.
Yes.
I understand that. But the reason why I picked this, well, the entire topic of the show today is friendly, beautiful, inspirational. We're going to deal with the friendly part of it today because this year there was, if you guys are not tuned to like a lot of which I'm not most of the time, and I have to because now we're doing this stuff, I got to be more in tune to what's going on different streaming channels and what they're talking about and different Black things. And this is why I'm so grateful for Angela, because, you know, she's pulling a lot of us together. But earlier this year, there was an explosion because men started on these platforms started talking about that they want a friendly woman, that they're not friendly, that they're not approachable. If I see a woman at a gas station or something like that, can I approach her? I can't, because the look on her face or the scowl on her face, or she might snap if I say, "Hey, darling, you look beautiful," or whatever. Or, but I've been guilty of saying it. You ready to be frowned up like that? I've been guilty, you know, have said it and gotten my head chopped off, you know, for the compliment. So my goal for bringing this up is to point out, listen, we understand that you might be carrying stuff. The random brother that's going to run into you don't know that. 73% of you are single. The random dude at the gas station might be him for you. And I know you don't want to think about that at all times because you got 40 different things going on at your brain at the same time. But in the back of your mind, if that's you want that, you have to be open to receive that. And a lot of times, especially with our Black women, they'll go out and be like, you know, well, I'm not ready for this or ready for that. Listen, we got one life. God only promises what Dr. Thomas, 70 years? Sometimes you gotta 70. Sometimes you gotta do multiple things at the same time. Sometimes you gotta build the plane while you're flying it. Sometimes you gotta find your man while you're going to therapy. That's just the way it has to be, because we don't have a lot of time here. And even though God promises 70 years, he also says that he sometimes comes like a thief in the night. So you never know when it's your time. But I wanted to play a video that I sent it to you guys. I want to play it for everybody else. And she talked a lot about the sentiments that you guys talked about, but I might stop it a couple times. So give me a second here and I'll cue it up for you.
I remember I was at the BX and I was checking out, and the guy told me behind the register, who happened to be a Black man, he said, "Why don't you smile?" And I looked at him crazy and I'm like, "Huh?" He said, "Why don't you smile?" Well, because I'm checking out. I'm actually trying to go. I have somewhere to go, and I'm going to the store. And so, as I was leaving the store, I ended up thinking to myself, do I look mean? Did I look mad? I don't know.
Ms. Torres, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So here's one thing that she said that I thought was kind of insightful. She says, when I left the store and I got in my car, I asked myself, was I really mean? I think that shows some insight or some awareness that she may or may not have come across that way. But some of the things that she said off the rip, some of you ladies already talked about the fact that she had multiple things on the mind. But my question is, only you know that, but what is the message that is conveyed to the Black man who's approaching you?
Well, the obvious message is, okay, she don't want to be bothered.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't want to be bothered. Let me leave her alone. And it's an unconscious thing. It really is. Because from what I was hearing, you know, she had a lot on her mind. She wasn't even thinking about it. It wasn't until afterwards she started to assess herself and like, okay, perhaps maybe, you know, I was a little bit too deep into my thoughts. It's an unconscious thing. And it's like, you know, the ladies were saying, sometimes, you know, when you get in your feelings and you're deep in your thoughts, you're not, you know, consciously thinking about how you appear, what you're saying. And so it is coming off, you know, okay, I'm just not going to bother her. You know, she probably doesn't want to be approached. And that's not the case at all. If we can stop and make a conscious thought of it. Like, hey, I'm going through a lot. This person in front of me doesn't know what I'm going through. Let me just take the time, smile. Let me make that effort. It's easier said than done, but it is an effort. I think we have to make the effort more
Okay.
so. It's a conscious thing.
All right. Let's see what the rest of what she's talking about.
And so often I've heard other black women say that a lot of black men tell them to smile and that they look sour about something, that we always look mad. And I don't think it's the fact that we all always look mad. I just think that we have something on our mind. You know what I mean? Like, we just have somewhere to go. We have something that we're trying to get to because we are actually focused. Our focus is not always to smile at everybody we see and the people that we meet. Sometimes we're focused on the things that we have to do throughout the day because we have busy lives just like everyone else too. If
Miss Angela, are you there? Okay. So she brought up some of the statements that you guys brought up about your mind being elsewhere, being elsewhere, being elsewhere. My question is my second. Or I'm going to ask the question again. If she's out and about, and yes, this woman states she has a husband, but if she's out and about and she gets into a situation where another man is being aggressively with you and there's another man there, what message does that send to that man that could possibly help her in that situation, because she was so into her own self that being friendly probably wasn't a top priority?
Wow. Well, I heard someone say that it's a conscious choice. I said earlier that I was that person that used to, you looked at me, you didn't know if you wanted to speak or if you wanted to walk past. I had to make a conscious decision to say that I didn't want to be that person, because all that I've been through and all that have been on my mind, I had to think about the next person. I had to think about what is the next person going through. They may be going through something worse than me. So even sometime now, I could be crying on the inside, but now I often wear a smile because this is what people have perceived that they say we should do. So I've made a conscious decision that I'm going to do this, but not everybody has made that conscious decision. But are they wrong because they don't make that conscious decision? No, they're not. We are entitled to be just who we are. We may be having a good day, we may be having a bad day. Why do other people's demeanor have to deflect who you are and what you want?
Here's my question.
We have to learn how to move past.
Here's my question, Miss Angela, about that statement. To what end? I understand that you want to be who you are. Fine. But what has that thought process, what has it produced? For me,
it not?
Well, for me, it's produced. A lot of our Black women think that they're not protected. Black men don't protect you. The argument can be made because if you're not friendly, you're leaving yourself out there open to be not protected. Because who's going to come in and protect someone who's constantly not being friendly or showing giving them their butt to kiss most of the time? That's how a lot of Black men feel when they're approaching. And a lot of time, and one of the other things that I hear from women too is that they believe that every man that's speaking to them wants to be with them. Some men are speaking just because you're a woman, or you might be the only sister in the vicinity. Sometimes we're speaking just because you are just that cute to us. Not that we want anything from you. It's just an acknowledgement of what you are. So, yeah, you can be who you are, but to what end? What is it accomplishing as far as what is it accomplishing for us as a whole, and especially us getting together?
Communication. That's when communication comes into play. You know, we have to learn how to communicate, and we have to learn how to coexist without always wanting to make people who we want them to be.
Mm.
That's we've only been free 57 years now. Come on.
Yeah, but then we get what we get. And which we have right now is we have black men on one side, black women on the other side, and we're screaming at each other. We want our women to be friendly, beautiful, and inspirational. If we can't get our women to be friendly, beautiful, and inspirational, what do we have? What do we have to choose from? And like I said last week, let's not sit here and pretend like other races of women want our men. That's not true. 33% of black men are getting married. That means over 50, almost 47% of men, black men, are not being chosen from any group of women.
In what age? What age group? Or
18 to 65.
18 to who?
65.
That's a broad range, but yet, I just, you know, it. You gotta the numbers, the amount of men to women. Men don't have they cake and ice cream for years, and now they get to an age to where now they want to settle down, and now they want what they want. It ain't that simple.
Here's my thought process, Miss Angela. And I don't know if I said this or I was just talking to somebody, but I've had many conversations about age gap dating, like women dating men a little bit older than them. The reason why I say that is because, and I think I may have said this on the stream last week, the vast majority of men don't come into their manhood until they're into their late 30s. So when you are a woman in your 20s, mid 20s, early approaching 30s, and you're looking for a mate, your mate ain't somebody your age because he ain't there yet. Your mate is somebody that's on the other side of that. So we as a community, if you go back to your mother's generation, your grandmother's generation, most of them, the women and men were not in the same age bracket. You had 10 years difference, 8 years difference, 15 years difference, and it was a different dynamic there. So when you want that, right now, this whole modern dating, what we do now is really stupid because it doesn't produce good outcomes. Not for us or anybody else who practice it like that, but actually really other groups practice it, but not to the degree we're doing it. You know what I mean? And it doesn't produce the outcomes that we want. Men are not getting what they want, and neither are our women. But our women are actually suffering more from not getting the outcomes than the men, simply because we're made up differently. A man can go off and be by himself and be fine. That's not the case with a lot of our ladies. We're just built differently, but the question is, what are we doing? I understand the notion of individualism, but if we want to get together, how do we get back to some of the things that were actually working? Yes, true freedom for us did not really start until we entered into the 60s, because that's when we started getting all of our rights and establishments that the rest of the country had at that point. And so we've had, and on top of that, we've had 50 years of separate Black homes as well. Before 1965, Black people were the highest rated married group in the country. We were married at a rate of 80%. 80% of us were married prior to 1965. Now we're gonna do a story. We're gonna do a show down the line a little bit. Towards the end of the her series, the her image series, we're gonna do a history thing, and that's one of the things we're gonna talk about is what happened after 1965. If we were married at a rate of 80% before 1965, what happened? You know, but friendly. Yes, the black man wants you to be friendly. Your image, your reputation as a black woman is that you're not. I'm not saying that's fair. I'm not saying that's fair at all or in the least bit. I think it's unfair. Even despite my own interactions with the women that I come in contact with on a day-to-day basis, black women are carrying burdens that they should not be carrying. I say it to people in my own life. Pressure is made for shoulders, not hips.
Wow.
Okay, I'm done preaching. And I ain't even got a theology degree, Mr. Thompson.
Wow. That was a mouthful right there. I like that. Pressure is made for shoulders and not hips. And that's true. We as black women, we carry a lot, and we carry a lot of false burdens, things that really don't belong to us, because we are individuals who love. We are individuals who feel like we have to be the sheroes, and we want to help everybody. And so when we get to that place, we take on the burdens of individuals that they don't really belong to us.
Yeah.
You made a statement about men that speak to black women and how we come across sometimes, and many men believe that, well, many women believe that these men are actually wanting something from them. And I think that is true to a certain extent because of the way that many black women have been treated in the past by men. And so we do have that perception. I have had that perception before. And, at that moment, then, yeah, I probably was, or coming across as that angry black woman that, didn't want to smile or whatever, maybe snarled at the individual, not taking his head off, but just is what you're saying is unwanted. And that was my perception. And he could have very well, as you said, been saying, hey, sister, you're beautiful. Hey, sister, I just wanted to speak to you because I'm one of those people. I speak to everybody. And I try to smile at everybody, whether they speak to me or not, whether they smile back or not. That's just who I am, because I don't want to walk around with the giving off the perception of being mad, being angry, or, I've been accused of, oh, you think that you're all that, you walk around with this persona or what have you. But it's not that. When we are confident in who we are, sometimes we carry ourselves a lot differently than somebody who does not have the self-esteem and the confidence.
Yeah, definitely. And one of the things I'm hoping to do with this platform, as we grow and as we develop, and one of the things that I want our black women to take away from it, one is I want our women to reevaluate how we choose our mating partners, because that impacts your stress level. I am a firm believer that you, as my woman, you are not supposed to carry the burden of the home. You're supposed to carry the burden of the cultivating of the home. But our women are out here back because of choices.
Right.
And we'll get
and
into those.
It also can be because of upbringing. We weren't taught that.
We weren't, Miss Dr. Thomas. Oh my God, my goodness. Everybody on here is probably in Generation X or Generation Y on this panel. And we have seen the outcomes, and and I said on our first streaming show, we are the victims of it. We are not taught, and then we're now raising our children. You think the women of Gen X right now, we're talking about between 1965 and 1986, that group of women right there, which is a good 20 something year group, of women. You think the burden you're carrying right now is heavy? What you think your daughters is about to carry? If we're at an 80% clip that their kids are going to be without a father at an 80% clip, that generation is going to be close to 90-95%. What you think kind of burden they're going to be carrying? What do you think is going to be carrying when you're 54% of productive men decide to give up because they can't find a woman to cooperate with? These are the things that we're not thinking about when we're doing what we're doing, okay? And I know I'm talking about a miracle here, but at least I think we need to get in a fight with it. I think we can go on and on and on and on about this friendliness thing. Let me wrap it up a little bit. And because we're going to pick this back up next week, because we got to talk about the beautiful part of y'all. We got to talk about the inspirational part of you all. And you guys are going to be, I got a treat for you, especially when we get to the inspiration. I got a treat for y'all. Y'all going to be shocked. Like, what? He not dogging us? No. Hell no. But listen, our image or / reputation, I don't care if you're a black man or black woman, our image has come from somewhere. There's some truth in it. There's some truth in all of the things that we get, that the negative labels of us, there's some truth in it. We have to acknowledge it. We have to accept it in order to be able to deal with it. You know, I would love to see 10% of us, 15% of us start to get back to the place where, you know, where we can reignite Black families. We were the strongest families coming out of slavery and coming out of Reconstructions. Look, my grandfather's generation, you know, tough, strong. He's 86 years old. Their parents' generation, it was unheard of for them to be in a home without their parents in the house, or that their mama talking about, I'm independent, I don't need no man. Well, you're gonna starve to death without your man. But we, in this modern era, because our women can do much more, you don't have to starve without us, but we gotta find a new way. I remember one time I told, you know, when I was married, I told her, I said, listen, in order for this to work, we need to strike a new deal. Black men and Black women, do I believe we're going to go back to, you know, all of our women staying at home, or all of our men working in the yard, and we're not going back that way. But we need to strike a new deal. And before we can do that, we got to acknowledge what we are to one another and where it came from in order for us to get there. And we'll work our best to get there. So I think that's it. Let me bring everybody back up real quick. All right. Everybody there?
Yes.
Yeah. I want to thank you guys for coming. Next week, Ms. Torres would love for you to come back, especially for the inspirational. Next week, we didn't get to the beautiful part. It's not what you think. I'm not actually talking about physical. Yeah. And then the inspirational part, which I think is going to be a treat for all you ladies when I put that together. I think this is the conversations that we are having and coming out of them. I think they're helpful. I'm just putting it out here right now. These discussions that I'm having with you group of ladies right now, it's marching towards a special that I'm going to be doing with our young ladies between the ages of 18 and 24. Yes. I want them to be able to see our generation, what we're having conversations about, what you are experiencing, and with them, I want to show how they see us. So I'm marching towards that with you ladies. Okay. Any last words from anybody else? Go ahead, Christy.
I keep hearing the ladies say that men want communication. There is a piece missing there. And a lot of us weren't taught positive, encouraging communication, because if you're yelling and screaming at each other, that's communication. But we have to be able to listen, to hear what the other person wants, what they have to say, what they have to offer, what they feel, think, hope. And some of it wasn't taught, or it's been so buried down because we've got so much stuff going on. And we have to get back to, and I say it again, we have to get back to basics. Because that's 1965, the year that I was born. I'm old. But our parents fought to stay together. And if a family was struggling, if a couple was struggling, they put some food on the stove, put some music on, and invited the family and a bunch of other couples, and they worked it out, helped them work it out.
Yeah, no, we fight to get away from each other.
Right.
I would like to also say, a faint heart never wins. If a man sees a woman and she's not, say something, because there's been many times I might be going through something and somebody might just say smile and I will crack a smile. Sometimes just don't be faint-hearted, and we can't be so quick to get into it and ASAP. What we do, call the police. Once the police get involved, mistrust is there and it never gets back. No matter how many times they stick it out, and the thought of that woman calling the police destroys most men mental to even get back on the right track. So, we got to try to figure out how we can work it out together instead of involving those outsiders.
Go ahead, Miss Kenya. You need to unmute, and then we'll.
Yes. I just wanted to piggyback for Miss Christie. Communication is definitely key, especially positive communication. And I've said it once before, with the communication, a lot of the times in situations, we don't really listen to each other. We hear enough so we can respond. And that's it, because what we have to say is the only thing that matters. In order for you to have a positive and healthy relationship, you have to be able to listen to each other, understand what that person is saying, not just their verbal cues, but their nonverbal cues. What have I said to you, or what have I done to you? What is your response? Did I make you feel this way? Let's talk about this. And let's get down to the situation at hand. That way, if this is a problem, then we can do something to solve it. And if it's something that's tolerable or whatever, it just has to be an open conversation where for the man and the woman can actually really listen and understand and really communicate. And get down to the issue. Yeah, instead of just always want to respond, because somebody got to feel like they have to be right.
Yes.
And that's not the case.
Miss Kenya, I want to put this out here on that one. We're going to leave it right there. Be mindful and remember, men communicate differently. What we view as communication is different. Most of us are direct. We don't drill down and really get into every nook and cranny of our feelings. And most men, when there's a problem, are looking to solve it. When there's a problem, you're looking to figure out how we got the problem. We just want the problem fixed. There's one, and let me fix it. That's why when you come home from work and your husband is there and you venting to him and he looking at you like a deer in the headlights, because everything in his mind is going through, okay, what can I do to fix this? What can I do to fix this? And then the moment he realizes he can't fix it, that's when he gets the deer in the headlight, because he's like, oh, she just want to talk. I just want to watch the ball game, But, so be mindful of that. And that's one of the things too I think we need to work on when we get to the hour image thing, which is what our needs are different, and that's okay. Mm-hmm. Our needs are different, and because our needs are different, we don't accept the fact that that's okay, and we're so quick to throw each other away. I don't know how many times I've known plenty of women, plenty of men who've thrown away good people because they haven't figured out the needs part, or their pride won't allow them to figure out the needs part. Okay. Mm-hmm. Ladies, hang back. We're done.
You know we getting grown up in here, right? 25 and up. Let me see your ID, baby. Yeah. Nobody move till we say so. It's that 3D radio with TJ Digger and Lady Flow. Real talk on 3D radio. Dress for success so it's never fail. Grow delivery, so call it Gmail. Stay logged on till it's time to bail. Adults only, so now it's set sail. Don't act like you ain't heard what I said. Go on, little mama, put the kids to bed. Live on the net, you know it don't stop. Time to get loose like you do the wild.